installed the CX Racing Kit on your Datsun 510. How did it perform?
Well, last year when we decided to put my Datsun 510 back together to be a race car after 35 years of being in storage, I wanted to put a Mazda rotary in it, and oddly enough, CX Racing offered a kit to do exactly what I wanted to do, put a turbocharged 13B in. It sounded too good to be true, and turns out it was. So it was really fun thinking I didn't have to fabricate a kit, which I've done every other time we've done an engine swap, because I come from an era where there weren't kits, we had to fabricate everything. But we had quite a time restraint trying to make the last race of the year, so we thought, this is fantastic, let's order the CX Racing kit. Well, it was interesting to fit because CX Racing decided to put a proprietary manifold where you had to buy a CX Racing blow-off valve. They made a fairly nice turbo manifold, which we're still using to the day. It's really one of the only pieces, the manifold and the engine mounts are the only two things that kind of work out of motor mounts, manifold, intercooler, radiator, and oil pan. Now, the oil pan looks really nice, and I love the piece because it's a girdle, so it strengthens up the 13B, because the rotor housings, when you turn them up 350 horsepower, they like to twist. So the idea was beautiful, but my pan has a flaw in the welding, so it leaks. That's a really painful thing. We don't like oil leaks, and it's an improper weld on the pan, and it leaks. I can live with that. So we went ahead, we moved ahead anyways, and we thought we'd try and use it. And as you can see on the floor here is the CX Racing radiator. It's you know, it looks very, very small, considering it's only, that's 9 inches on me, so it's not even really a 10-inch deep core. And I found that, you know, it looked pretty inadequate to me, but I always like to give people a little bit of rope, and if they want to hang themselves, go ahead. So we thought we'd give her a shot and run the CX Racing products. That's the radiator that was supposed to cool my turbocharged 13B, and that's the intercooler that they supplied, which is also very thin core, not very sophisticated inside. So the radiator, you know, having a 10-inch core and only 1.5 inches wide, I've never seen a rad with such a shallow core. Usually radiators are at least 16-inch deep cores or bigger, and I thought I'd give it a shot. Well, sure enough, after about 10 minutes of running, the water temperatures were like pegged at 215 degrees Fahrenheit, and it made me come in off the track. So very disappointing, because we spent a lot of time making a beautiful fit. We built the whole front end around this intercooler and radiator, and even the intercooler, like I said, it's poor quality. It's got huge tubes straight in this way, not in the core, and then they have to do a 90 in a pretty narrow core. Again, around 1.5 inches thick. Real intercooler cores are like the one we've replaced it with, which is now in the car, which is Spearco, and it's a 3-inch thick core. The tubes we've welded into the side of the core, so the tube actually flows way better, being it goes into the side of the core, not into the end of the core. The core is so thick, it's over 3 inches thick. You can't compare the quality, and you'll see how the tubes, we've welded them into the side rather than coming into the end. We've closed off the openings on the end, and it looks like it's going to fit quite nicely. It was a bit of a pain to get it to fit, but it looks like it's working out quite well for the 510. So that's one thing we've had to upgrade. It caused a lot of extra work. I'm going to have to relocate my water pump. Basically, you have to re-engineer the whole front of the car around it. And then I'm going to run a radiator, a Be Cool radiator, which I had out of another supercharged car which I built years ago. And as you can see, it is well over 10 inches. It's around 16-inch deep, around the same size core as the inadequate CX Racing core, and quite a bit thicker, and I have quite a bit more faith in it. So I have to re-engineer the water pump, of course, because we built it for the CX Racing, which was a waste of effort. But like I said, I always like to give people the benefit of the doubt, or manufacturers the benefit of the doubt. I would never recommend this kit for any high horsepower 13B in a 510 ever again, and it was a real waste of effort and time and money. It fit well, but it didn't work at all.
Was it worth it?
No, it was not.